Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
It's a blessing to be in the position, and we're just thankful to be here. We're thankful to have the opportunity to go out there and play in front of the 12 man.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Well, here we are. A bunch of Aggie fans and even a lot of Longhorn fans here on TexAgs Live. Huh, who would have thought?
Welcome.
How are you, buddy?
A little bit tired, but
Yeah.
I'm going to get a second win probably around 6 o'clock tonight.
Your hair looks good again, 2 days
Does
in
it?
a row. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's best that I
You dressed
that I
up for
cut
the
it.
Longhorn fans that are... Sandman, who's, by the way, a friendly contributor to the YouTube chat, started type. Griggs, how early? Like before the show started, right?
Yeah, before the show, Sandman said, well, payback has finally arrived. Let's have a fun weekend with the hook'em sign. So,
Sorry, we don't recognize that sign here.
yeah.
Here's the deal, Sandman. It's not about payback. I mean, sure, do I want to win for multiple reasons? Right now, I have evolved my feelings in let's just keep winning series.
But Sandman wants payback for what?
He's saying
fact-
it from our end. He's trying to talk as
I thought he's referring to all the times Aggies have kicked their ass lately.
Yeah, in baseball,
You know,
the
Austin.
last decade has
Yeah.
been
Well, I mean, the last time they were in Omaha, they got eliminated
yeah,
by
that's true.
A&M.
Yeah, that's true.
And then it seems like, if I recall right,
They lost last year to A&M.
last year
Yeah.
in the playoffs.
Huh.
Is that?
Yeah.
I thought that's what he meant.
Wasn't there like a walk-off in 22 from the dish? If I remember correctly, we were in New York for the NIT.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
Yeah, interesting.
So I get it. The Longhorns are looking forward to this opportunity to get some payback for all those times the Aggies have beaten them.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
it may not be coming. You know,
I don't know. Look, hey, they're a very good baseball team.
Yeah,
obviously,
they are.
they're fantastic. A&M is finding their way again.
A&M's a very good baseball team that had some issues they had to work through earlier in the season and have apparently worked through them.
Yep,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I am too. I'm looking forward to it too. Here's the thing: if we get any kind of regular Ryan Prager,
Mhm.
that's a game one. That's a game one Aggies. All right. That's how confident I feel about the offense. If you get a very good Ryan Prager, A&M's going to win game one. If you win game one, obviously you're in a great position to win the series. It does not guarantee anything. If you lose game one, I like what I've been getting from Justin Lampkin. I like what I'm getting from Miles Patton. But I'd love to get game one.
Of course you do. Of course you want. I want all three of them. And I think both teams are capable of sweeping.
Mm-hmm.
You got to play well. And from what I understand, I haven't watched a lot of Texas baseball. I tuned in the other night when they were behind Texas State, hoping to see the Bobcats close it out, and they did not. But what they, from what I understand, they don't beat themselves very often. And unfortunately, the Aggies have done that when they were slumping a lot of times with bad defense, things like that. But that's what you would expect from their coach, who's a good coach. He's an excellent coach. Yeah. And they're getting good pitching. Well, we celebrated their pitching coach for, here.
Max Wiener was fantastic here for the season. Yeah, he was great.
But I don't think anybody's going over to Austin, with apprehension. I think they know they're a good baseball team, probably feel like they're better than Texas. So, it's why you play it. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Record-wise, obviously, and what A&M has gone through, Texas is that's why they're the number one team in the country.
Texas has a better record. Tennessee was the number one team in the country. Arkansas was the number 2 team in the country.
Yeah.
You went up to both of those places in one series.
Yep. But this one has added importance.
Of course.
The rivalry is a part of it. Obviously, Schloss leaving, as I think, did not handle that at all well, right? That's another part of it. And the other part is A&M is trying to get back into national conversation for being potentially a host site for the regional. Potentially. Look, a long way to go with it, especially with what's left.
Got to keep winning series.
Yeah.
And maybe more. But, you left out, all the reasons that you want to beat them, with the Schloss, how they announced the firing of their coach last year, the day that A&M was playing for a championship.
It was just an accident. Yeah.
All those, all those things, all those underhanded, sneaky, just give me another word. I need a thesaurus here. Underhanded, sneaky, slimy, whatever. All those things that they're known to do, they did, and so those are some of the reasons that you'd love to see A&M go out and win. But do you really need all those? It's Texas.
Look, and we're coming at this from a little bit of different perspectives. I hate what Schloss did. I think it's gross, disgusting. He was actually really good to me, okay? He came on the show often. He was up front. But I love dealing with Michael Early. There's a warmth to the conversation with Coach Early, a warmth, okay? I think I've said before, the Schloss-Nuño relationship felt transactional. Very nice. Responded to all my texts, came on the show. It was very nice. It was very business. With Coach Early, there's a warmth to it that I'm enjoying, and I'm hoping that continues to be victories because at the end of the day, that's what matters, is winning games. And right now, that team is winning games.
They are. Both teams are.
Oh, yeah.
So, is A&M going to hit the ball at the same frequency that they've been hitting it lately? I don't know. That's the best pitching team in the SEC. However, offensively, Texas is probably, in the SEC, mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said earlier, if Prager's on, they're not going to score very many runs, I wouldn't think, if Prager's on.
Right.
And so...
by the way, Weston Moss is pretty good, too.
Yeah. And, so is Lampkin, and so is Patton. So, there's great opportunities there.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So I've decided to be a little cheesy for the show.
Okay.
I'm going to describe this as, very cheesy.
Okay.
We're going to have some movie clips throughout the Go Hour.
Okay.
Okay? Just to kind of set the tone, set the mood, right? Because, I'm a battle rapper, OB. That's how I see myself, even at 48 years old.
A battle rapper?
I'm a battle rapper, right? Put me in the cipher. Let's go.
Okay. I've never heard that phrase before, but okay.
I'm a battle rapper.
A battle rapper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I go to the meetings. Is
that with the rap and you put on a hat sideways? And
that was 1984.
Have a big clock.
We now more mumble.
Okay.
We mumble now. We in the community. Anyway, I picked some movie clips that, to me, just kind of get me going.
All
right?
To help set the stage.
Yeah, and some of these have nothing to do with what's happening between A&M and Texas, but it just gets me going.
Okay, I'm very intrigued.
Okay, by the way, this movie clip that I'm about to pick, I'm going off memory because it looks like it was blacked out on my rundown.
Okay.
So I'm going to go off memory. I believe it happens to deal with my role model.
Scarface?
He's one of them, but he didn't make the cut. Michael Corleone.
But don't ever take sides with anyone against the family again.
You know what happened to Fredo?
He sleeps with the fishes. Legit.
Yeah.
He sleeps with the fishes. Little Michael Corleone. Right. For some reason, I thought that soundbite was longer than that. But there you go. Michael Corleone, breaking it down, OB.
Yeah. That's I always reference him. I hate it, but every now and then those Texas people call A&M little brother, and I say, yeah, like Michael Corleone. So whack 'em.
The boss. Hey, let's do 3 things we want to see this weekend.
Okay. I want to see A&M win the game 1. I want to see them win game 2, and I want to see them win game 3.
Yeah. That pretty much sums it up. How about this? On a Friday, I want to see a Prager win.
Okay. All right.
Along with a couple more Aggies drafted.
Okay.
Okay. and softball taking care of business against Arkansas. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
It's a great weekend, right?
I want to see Emily Kennedy win on. I don't know their old patch. I want to say KK Dement. I want to get demented.
Let's get demented.
I'm going to go see them, watch them play tonight.
All right.
And I want to see Mac Barbara hit a home run.
Return of the Mac.
I want to see Enright, but she'll be in center.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking forward to that.
Sydney Lessentine this weekend. Got a lot of players, though. Coco Woolley. Player of the week with a KO. With a knockout. God. Okay, you've broken that 9 times today. Oh, wow. I had a joke. I'm not going there.
And that's what the Aggies are going to do to them.
They're going to fumble the microphone?
No, they're going to break them.
Oh, break them off to something proper. All right. If you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it multiple ways. You can call us. That number is 979-693-1150. If you call it, we'll pick it up on the Bumpy's Catering hotline. You can text that number as well. The people probably don't know what they're listening to.
You think?
I mean, I haven't told them the name of the show. We're 11 minutes in.
They don't know this is TexAgs Radio, TexAgs Live?
It was.
TexAgs Live?
Awesome prayers to TexAgs Radio. Yeah, this is TexAgs Live.
TexAgs Radio isn't dead. It just grew.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, it's evolved into TexAgs Live.
Kind of like Luke when he joined the Never mind. If you, I already said that if you want to call the show, but if you want to know what hour this is, you would tell them what?
It's the go hour because you're going to work because, go to your TV or radio.
Or streaming device.
Yeah. Just go and watch us.
That's brought to you by the Warehouse at CC Creations, but we're in a studio.
Yeah, the Rollo Insurance Studio.
Yeah, the studio that Billy built. Yeah. Rollo Insurance, thank you very much, guys. And this hour is the go hour. I'm just all over the place. Yeah. This section that we're in.
Right here.
This little area right here. What would you call this shape right here? Looks like the Alamo in a way.
Yeah, I guess you could say
the Alamo section. This is the Holistic Planning Cool Zone.
The Cool Zone.
Yeah. It's awesome at Holistic Planning, isn't it?
It's very cool because you know what? You know why it's awesome and cool? Because they're going to help you with your finances. They're going to help you with your investments. They're going to help you with your taxes, so you can keep the money that you make on all those investments. They're going to help you with your estate planning, so you can have some of that money waiting for you when you decide to retire.
There's a lot of things that Holistic Planning can do. InvestinProSports.com is one of them. That's the website to help you invest in pro sports. Let's go behind the glass and say hi to our friend, Nick Savage. Nick, good morning.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's up?
Happy to be back on a, sure is going to be a very fun Friday. How often is it that we get, a regular season series that feels so, monumental as it is? And we all know the reasons why, but this feels like a super regional that A&M's going into this weekend, doesn't it?
It does, but guess what? A&M's playing in a couple super regionals the last month.
Yeah, and you know who's next week?
Don't remind me.
So
another rival?
LSU.
Yeah, another rival.
So I feel like, this one. Look, we get these big series since been in the SEC, almost weekly, but this one has more juice to it.
Yeah, and I think on both sides, right? Like our side is more like we were wronged, right? We feel like we were wronged, and I think it worked out. It worked out for Texas. It's working out for A&M. We feel like we were wronged. It was gross. There's that. But to me, I've really kind of, that's part of the storyline. That was the big storyline for me, June, July, August, September. Right now, I just want A&M to keep winning series. I don't care if it's Texas or if it's LSU or if it's Georgia. I want them to keep winning series and get as high of a potential ranking and high RPI as possible to just make something out of what felt like the deathbed of the season. That's what it felt like.
At one point, it did. When they got shut out, when they got no hit by Tennessee, it felt like, okay, why aren't we doing this?
That's what And then the next day, it all changed.
There was this Lazarus-like reemergence.
Yeah.
Biblical. And it's been a biblical.
And also Batman, too, Ra's al Ghul.
Was he dead and came back to life like Lazarus?
There's been others, yeah.
Oh.
Ra's al Ghul.
You say so.
Liam Neeson.
No, yeah. He has like a lot of the guys on that A&M batting order have a specific set of skills.
Don't say that too early. Just say it. Don't say that too early.
I won't say it to Mike. Why wouldn't I want to say that to Mike?
I'm just saying you might hear that again later. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. If that movie's on TV, there's no chance I'm turning the channel.
It's true.
Elizabeth's giving labor. Sweetie, taking's on. You're going to have to hold that baby in.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like when he puts the electrodes on the guy and flips and just leaves.
I tried that once. It didn't work as well.
Barbecue terrorist.
Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. We said hi to Maria, or actually we didn't say hi, Maria Griglione. We just brought you into the show.
Yeah.
But hey, here's a formal hello. Hello, Maria.
Hi, happy Friday. How are y'all?
I'm doing pretty well.
Good.
Has the chat been infiltrated more, or are we good?
Actually, yes. We have so many positive comments.
Yes.
Starting off with, let's go Ags. I had a baby boy born yesterday at 5:02 p.m. yesterday. Now let's beat the hell out of TU.
Who is this?
Good thing Taken wasn't on.
Yeah. So congrats. That's so exciting.
Who is that? Who said that, though?
I don't know how to pronounce their name, so I don't want to botch it.
Spell it.
NJEKWAN.
I don't blame her. It's like crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to botch it, so congrats,
MGK,
friend.
congratulations on the birth of your baby.
Is it Easy Nwachuku?
That name I can say.
Their last name's a little bit easier to pronounce.
I don't know if we're supposed to do
Jones?
Besnail.
That's not.
Besnail?
Okay, well, look, whoever
Mr.
you
Besnell.
are, Mr. Whatever, congratulations on your son.
Mr. Belzer. Wasn't that the guy from
Maybe it's Mr.
Saved by the
Bell.
Bell? Mr. Belzer, right? I don't know.
I didn't watch that movie.
Thanks. It's a show.
And then
Mark Paul Gosselaar. There was a rumor he went to A&M. Wasn't true. Go ahead.
And then continuing with the positive comments, notice how OB is always all on the Kikis, the KKs, and the Cocos. Happy Friday, Bill from Austin.
I don't know any Kikis, but
Do you love me?
Well,
Like the song?
is there any Kikis?
Yeah. Aubrey knows him.
Once there was a Tiki here, Tiki Hardeman.
Tiki Hardeman, that's right, yeah. DeAndre.
Tiki.
DeAndre Tiki Hardeman.
I don't know.
I think
but
so.
if there's I like KK, I like Coco, and if there's a Kiki here, I like them too.
And I want a KO this weekend.
That's right.
One more.
All right. Obviously, softball this weekend. The number 2 Aggies are hosting the number 9 Arkansas in their final SEC home series of the season, beginning today at 6 p.m. at Davis Diamond. They will continue the series tomorrow at 4 p.m. and finish the 3-game set on Sunday at 12 p.m. So
Let's go, Trisha. Let's get
exciting.
it done. Get it done.
Yeah. Just run over them with that forward.
Wishing them well.
Hey, we probably need to get into the NFL draft at some point.
Absolutely.
Okay. We got Shamar Stewart, who went yesterday. We got to find out what's going to happen with Nick Gordon and Shamar Turner. We've got a little bank on it later. We've got just more Aggie baseball, right? Because I'm sure the chat will get infiltrated. So we'll chit-chat throughout the program. Right now, though, before you go to battle.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to have a full stomach.
Yeah,
do
you do.
not? I'll find a way to incorporate 1775 into anything you bring up.
Well, here's
I
what
know
I
you
would
will
do.
too.
I would like to attack that succulent brisket, that beef,
with the same energy,
with the same ferocity.
Yeah.
That I hope that the A&M baseball team attacks.
Yeah.
The cows.
Yeah.
In Austin.
And you know what? On the way to Austin, you could actually stop by.
And then I want to attack that sausage and those pork ribs
Yeah.
with the same ferocity.
Are you getting a sampler?
That I hope the softball team attacks the Razorbacks.
What else do you have
pigs
for
up
us?
there.
But wait, there's more.
There's some turkey and some, but you know what? I'd like to see some amazing mac, as in home runs from Barbara Mac, like that Grand Slam macaroni and cheese, queso macaroni and cheese that you can only get at 1775.
I'm in the mood to eat some 1775.
I might have to go there.
Yeah, I think you should. By the way, on your way to Austin, just stop by there. It's on your left. You know the way. It's easy to
stop
find
by
out.
there and then go to the cemetery and snook.
979-492-6241, 1775, txbbq.com. It's a good one right here, OB.
Yeah. Little Tracy Lawrence smokes a lot of dope.
Not in that community.
I am not either.
Yeah. TexAgs Live. That's okay if you are.
It's just the song.
Yeah, I know. Snoop Dogg said, smoke weed every day. Well, actually, it was Nate Dogg who said it.
Thought it was Isaiah Golden.
It's the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at JC Creations. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. OB, can we do a little bank on it?
Sure, let's bank on it.
Bank on it. Presented by Vera Bank. Authentic relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and the team. Learn more at verabank.com.
I am banking on Ryan Prager to pitch the best game of the season for him this year. That doesn't mean necessarily he'll have more strikeouts than any other game.
It's going to be impactful.
But you always got to, put it against competition thing. Yep. I think we're going to see Ryan Prager at his best. I'm banking on that.
Okay. I had that listed as mine as well, but I had a part 2.
Okay, part 2, a sequel. Just when you thought it was safe to go back.
You know how we like to do the KKs, right?
KK?
It's not that. Well, that KK is going to be great, but that's not what I'm banking on.
Okay.
I'm banking on Clutch Kent.
Clutch Kent.
Look, there's going to be some special performances for A&M to win this series. If they're going to win this series, they're going to need some special performances. And there's going to be some situations that it's going to feel scary. And Clutch Kent is going to go in the phone booth and become Caden Kent, the Dragon Slayer.
I've got a pretty good idea that nobody wants to win this series as much as Caden Kent does.
Remember, think about what he's gone through.
Remember, he had a coach last year that really didn't want to put him in the lineup.
We had asked about him, and
he'd get mad.
Yeah, he didn't like that question.
And now we're seeing the way he's playing, and we're like,
and we saw the way he played at the end of last year.
So something tells me this series will mean just a little bit more to Caden Kent than probably everybody else.
Well, I got a soundbite of what the soundbite's going to look like in the future from Clutch Kent. This is Clutch Kent. Later on today, tomorrow, at some point, this is Clutch Kent.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix Legions, loyal servant to the true emperor Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
Just lost his face there. Joaquin Phoenix playing the role of Jim Schlossnagle in that one.
Yeah. Okay.
The Gladiator movie, obviously part 1.
Have your vengeance.
Let's get it.
Caden Kent, have your vengeance. Yeah.
I knew it was going to be cheesy doing the movie lines, but I'm going to roll with it for a little bit.
I thought for a minute you were saying that Caden was going to change his name to Marcus Aurelius.
He might have to act that way this weekend. Yeah, actually, he might have to. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. It turns out the name you couldn't pronounce is actually Chad.
Oh.
Good friends of Billy and a friend of mine as well. So
wait. It's Chad, but it had an N and an...
I think he goes by Chad.
Oh, okay. He goes by Chad.
He goes by Chad.
Well, I'm sorry about that.
It's
I
all
had
good.
no idea. We actually have another text, Jason from Savannah, Georgia.
Oh.
Howdy, Whoop, and Gig'em. Let's
All
saw
three?
them off this weekend in Austin. So looking forward to it. The best match. The best way to go into the weekend is with the TexAgs crew.
There you go.
There you go.
Didn't you say we wanted to see what we were banking on? So I'm banking on Prager, you're banking on Kent. And I'm also banking on Jace Lavalette to continue his home run, his power surge, put it that way.
I mean, he's been playing so well.
Yeah.
Like, why not let it roll? Good old Tag Taylor listening to the program. Hey, Tag, welcome to the show. Thank you very much. He says it was a great listen.
Okay, well, that is nice.
He used a different word, but yeah.
It's different than great?
Yeah, it's different.
Like
It's like a hard great.
Like outstanding?
Like a hard great.
Phenomenal?
Listen. Yeah.
More like
great
hard
listen.
watch, he said.
Hard watch?
Yeah.
He said hard watch as usual.
Yeah. I hope, well, there's a joke there that I'm not going to use, and I hope it's not what he was. Yeah. We're going to move on from that. I'm glad you got it.
All right, moving on.
Moving on. Let's talk about.
Maybe he's talking about you. Being in that word. You get hard. Like that movie since you got the movies with what's his name, Will Ferrell, and the short black guy, the real short one, the funny
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart. I mean, get hard, right?
Oh yes,
in that movie.
That movie's a great movie. Actually, I don't know about great. It was good.
All right,
good watch. Anyway, to finish up, bank on it. What we want to see this weekend and whatnot. Going back to your point about Jace, he has been on such a great run. Blake Binderup has been on a great run.
Yes, he has.
Clutch Kent, we've talked about, has been on a great run. So, but you're taking on a team that has weathered the entire storm of SEC play so far, and you got to go to their place.
And you know what? They've won I think maybe five of their conference wins have been by one run.
Yep.
So again, they play well. But it's not supposed to be easy. You can't be making some of the boneheaded plays. Can't be getting picked off of third base or booting some routine ground balls, things like that sometimes happen. Misjudged fly balls. You got to play clean ball.
Play clean ball. Let's hit a break. Let's come back with a little NFL draft, and then I want to do maybe a little more football because the baseball bunch is going to be an entire hour of baseball. We'll probably still do some more baseball throughout the show because I know that's what people want to hear about. Let's hit a break right here. We'll do that. Right now we're talking Caldwell Country Chevrolet. It's on Highway 21 in Caldwell and online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. If you're looking for a selection that won't break the bank, you need to check out Caldwell Country because they're stocking up on vehicles right now and their inventory is growing daily. But the real deal is they're south of those big city prices, no dealer add-ons. What you see is what you pay. They're locally owned and Aggie alumni ready to get you going. The red carpet is there for you. When you go there, you're going to feel like a superstar, no doubt about it. And they're top dollar for your trade-in value as well. So don't wait. You don't want to miss out on some incredible opportunities. Remember, it's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. We're back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse.
We jump in here. Faithful listener, Bill Cohn.
Hey, Bill.
Reminded me that I did. I was all, when he played here, I was all a big fan of Kingsley Kiki.
Oh, yeah.
But I never called him Kiki. I just called him Kingsley Kiki. So Kiki, Coco, and
the way you say Coco, there's like an accent.
I don't know.
Coco.
But speaking of Kingsley Kiki, that was a A&M defensive lineman that got drafted.
Yeah. Another message from Tag. It was great that he was nice to you, but what he did to the school makes him an enemy. Let's act like it. What in God's green earth makes you think that, I'm sorry I'm not treating him like Osama bin Laden. Okay? I'm sorry. But I will hope he loses every game 50-0. If that's not clear because I make a statement of truth, then go find another show to listen to, Tag. Please, never listen again. You are the one. Gone. And back.
I want you to keep listening, Tag.
Okay, actually, no, I take it back. I'll give you a hug if I see you, Tag. I know you live in town. But my point is, me making a statement that he was nice to me isn't about me not. My brother's nice to me. If I play dominoes with him, I'm trying to kill him. This guy's an enemy, though. So, yes, I 100% agree. Hence the revenge and the movie quotes that we've been using.
Brutus was nice to Caesar up until he stabbed him in the back.
And then Randy, who's a nice listener of the show, said, I didn't hear you guys complaining when you took Schloss from TCU. And if you don't see the difference in the two situations, then I can't help you. I'm sorry that your head coach was completely disrespectful to Richard Zane, right?
Yeah.
Has never really apologized. A real apology I've maintained, and people disagree with me, is actually
one-on-one.
One-on-one. It can be a phone call. It could be in person, but it's not at a press conference when the lights are on. A real apology is in person.
And Richard's not there.
Right. So there's that. But beyond that, leaving not even 24 hours after your team lost in the College World Series final, where you denied you were leaving, to the rival.
For months, you were saying, no.
The relationship between TCU and Texas is not the same.
And it was clear that he was negotiating and working this out with Texas while coaching A&M. And then tried to take some A&M players with him.
Right.
And they didn't go.
And by the way, we all know it was in the works for a while. So whatever. Like I said from the beginning of the show, I'm not beyond that drama, but I'm on to bigger things about the rivalry. I'm more about, can A&M continue to win series? Because in the here and now, that's what's important. Yes, I want this for all the reasons everybody else does. But if we're talking about, for this season, let's continue winning series.
Yes, but especially this one.
Yeah.
Especially because of Brutus and Judas.
And because of our good friend, Liam Neeson.
But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
That's poetry. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think we probably could have cut that off when he said just before he started talking about his daughter.
Oh, sorry. Editorial decision by OB here on the show. I crossed the line this time, apparently. I mean, some of the jokes you've made in the last 24 hours, and I crossed the line. All right. Anyway, let's talk about the NFL draft, shall we?
Yes. Yes, we should.
Shamar Stewart going to 17th overall. He goes to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah. They need some help on defense. Their pass defense was somewhat mediocre, and a lot of that, falls on their secondary. But you can always help your secondary by upgrading your pass rush. The question is, did they upgrade their pass rush? I know the potential is there. We've been waiting on that potential here.
Yeah.
He had 1.5 sacks for 3 consecutive years here. but the athleticism, the strength,
the measurables are all there.
Everything's there. That's just and you know what?
And his character.
And his character. Great kid. If he become, we've said before that he may be like Michael Bennett, who was just he was an all right player here, but got into the NFL and for a couple of years was like the most dominant pass rusher in the NFL. That could happen for Shamar Stewart. He definitely has that kind of athleticism. And if he does, the Bengals got to steal at 17.
If you think about that 22 class, what
I try not to, but
I know, but especially on that defensive line, what could have been, right? So I think if Shamar Turner doesn't get injured, we might be talking about him as a first rounder as well. Remember, at the beginning of last season, they were talking about him and Nick Scorton as being potential first rounders.
What bothers me is you had Walter Nolan and Shamar Turner, Shamar Stewart all together.
Yep.
And you never had the dominant defensive line that we thought we were going to see. It was good. It was all right, but it's never dominant. But you know what else? Kind of go back and talk about things that used to irritate me. You had a number one draft choice in Walter Nolan and a number one draft choice in Shamar Turner and a guy that's going to be a high draft choice in Shamar Stewart when you had no linebackers. And yet the buffoon of a defensive coordinator used to have said, hey, let me take one of the defensive linemen off and let's me put in more linebackers when I don't have any. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Well, thank God he's Auburn's problem now.
Well,
anyway, I'm hoping that Shamar Stewart blossoms in the NFL and becomes that, that ferocious pass rusher that we've always envisioned that he would be. It's not that he didn't make plays. He made a lot of plays. It just wasn't. And sometimes he would flush the quarterback out and somebody else might get him. Like I can think about DJ Lagway on a sack last year.
Yep.
But it wasn't. I guess I was thinking that this guy was going to be kind of Myles Garrett-esque.
Yep.
Or Von Miller-esque, who were both first-round picks. And he just didn't play to that level. But hopefully, again, he'll reach elite status in the NFL. And if that happens, then you got to start questioning the A&M coaches. And not necessarily this last year, but through the whole thing. What were they doing wrong? Were they using him wrong? Or were they developing him? Why wasn't he more? But hopefully that's not going to be an issue any longer with A&M as far as, developing guys. And hopefully it won't be a problem for Shamar.
There's been some guys that I wondered what their NFL future was going to look like. And kind of like we're talking about with Shamar Stewart. And they get to the next level and they blossom.
Mm-hmm.
Edge Cooper, I expected him to blossom, but maybe not as quickly and as ferociously as he did his rookie year, right?
Right.
Jalen Jones, I think he started off better than I expected. And how far did he fall in the draft last year? He fell a little bit.
Oh, gosh. What, 5 or 6
5 or 6 round, right?
Yeah.
So
I can't remember.
So
pretty sure Jalen was picked in the last round.
Was
he 7?
Yeah. And he was a guy that a couple years prior were like, he's going to be a day 1, day 2 pick. And he fell all the way to day 3, and he had a very nice season.
Did Damani Richardson even get drafted?
I don't believe he was.
And yet he was like the star of the Panthers training camp last year.
He had a good training camp.
Made this team and played well.
Yep. And I'm hoping we see big things from all the guys from last year. And
absolutely.
More, right? So, I understand where you
playing
are.
The Cowboys.
Damani was undrafted.
Yeah. Well, I understand where you are when it comes to Shamar. I'm hoping that NFL scouts, because more than one, see what he can become, and he becomes what they see.
And he looks like a kid that's going to really dedicate himself to getting better, being the best he can be. I mean, he's.
Do you agree though
enormous.
That
maybe he should play at a lighter weight?
Cam Ward goes 1. We knew that was going to happen.
From Columbus to Columbia, Texas.
Yep. And the Jags trade up to get Travis Hunter, number 2. Travis Hunter is going to be a player. Like, I think in 10 years, will the Titans be wondering, why didn't we take? Because all the Titans do, don't they take quarterbacks every draft, it feels like?
I mean, they have, and they've over the years taken some bad ones. They're still looking for another McNair, I guess. And maybe look, if you don't have a quarterback, you got to take one.
Yeah.
Because you don't know when you're going to have a chance to get another one that if you think he's good. So, teams often overpay and sometimes overreach for a quarterback. That's common.
Yeah. And then Shadur Sanders not drafted in the first round.
Not necessarily shocked by that.
Shocked because of what people were saying about him, but not shocked by it because if it felt like somebody you weren't sure about, it'd be Shadur. Shadur's got a very high ceiling, but also kind of a risk to him as well.
Yeah, and I've said it before when I know he's in the Big 12 last year, but the year before, putting up big numbers in the Pac-12. But every quarterback in the Pac-12 put up huge numbers that year. And I've been reading that there's kind of a attitude issue. There's some question about leadership. He's supposedly the type of guy that will throw his teammates under the bus.
Yeah.
It wasn't my fault. And I don't know how well that's going to fly in the NFL. Maybe those criticisms are warranted. Maybe they're not. I don't wish ill will for him. Somebody's going to draft him today. I fully anticipate.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's no doubt.
And I won't root against him unless he goes to a team I don't like.
Yep. Let's hit a break here. We'll come back. We'll do Around Aggieland, and then one final quote. I think the bit's kind of run its course. It ran its course the first time.
I'm looking forward to what it is.
The last one is it is the OB quote.
Oh.
The last one is the OB quote. One that you have said many times.
Really?
I'm not going to help you figure out what it is, but it's one you have said many times.
Huh.
In fact, I think we have said it in the last month.
Okay.
Okay? We'll do that on the other side.
Say hello to my little friend.
That's not what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, what accent was that?
It's a really bad Cuban accent.
Attention landowners, Bird Dog is more than just hunting. You know them as the premier Airbnb for hunting. Their platform is incredible. They're Aggie-owned and operated. They connect hunters with premium hunting opportunities. They've expanded their services to complete ranch optimization so you can unlock your hidden values on your land. What they do is they find some of the tax benefits you have not thought about as long as you run cattle or you have farming on your land. They're going to find, and some of their folks are making an extra $100 to $500 per acre of land. So they can help you with your managing. They can help you with hunting property and ranch brokers on sales. They're personalized consulting to maximize your land's financial potential without changing its essential character. So they want to connect qualified hunters through their established platform and expect tax benefits from them as well if you have a ranch. The website is birddogit.com. That website again, birddogit.com. Do me a favor, check them out. Let's talk a little Snaps clothing. David Nuño here, and I love wearing Snaps clothing everywhere. I've got the flannel on right now. You've seen me in the Tailgater collection with the A&M gear. It is fantastic. If you see me around town with my sons, Christian and Cruz, they've got a bunch of Snaps gear. When they have big games for Consol, they wear nice clothes, so they wear their Snap stuff. And I'm telling you, with baseball season here, let's all kind of go looking stylish and fit to the games there at Olson wearing the Snaps clothing. As a reminder, they are the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snaps maker out there. Their Tailgater collection is built for game day with breathable, moisture-wicking fabrics to keep you comfortable while you rep your Aggies in style. Now, whether you're watching the game from home or maybe you're in attendance, you're tailgating, whatever it may be, you got to make sure you head to snapsclothing.com to see everything they have to offer. It is fashionable, it is awesome, and you're going to love it. We're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. It is now time for Around Aggieland, and Callie Garner's here with us, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking. The website is normandystatebank.com. Calita, how are you?
I'm great. How are y'all?
Wonderful, thank you. What do you have for us on Around Aggieland?
Got quite a bit. Starting with football, Texas A&M defensive lineman Shamar Stewart is officially headed to the pros. Stewart was selected with the 17th overall pick by the Cincinnati Bengals in the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft last night. The standout junior started for all 12 games for the Aggies in 2024, finished with 31 tackles, including 14 solo, and ranking top 5 on the team with 5.5 tackles for loss and 7 quarterback hurries. Along the lines of the NFL Draft, Aggies Nick Scorton and Shamar Turner look to hear their names called tonight in the next couple of rounds. Moving to baseball, the Cotton Holdings Lone Star Showdown is back this weekend as the Aggies travel to Austin to take on the top-ranked Longhorns for the first time as conference opponents since 2012. The series kicks off Friday at 7 p.m. on SEC Network, with the Saturday and Sunday games set for 3 p.m. on ESPN2. This is the 378th meeting between the Aggies and the Longhorns, and the Aggies have won 6 of the last 7, including 3 straight in Austin. Last season, they dominated with wins on the road and in the postseason, and this is the first time the Maroon and White will play a 3-game series, with all 3 games in Austin since 1992. Moving on to softball, the second-ranked Texas A&M team is gearing up for a marquee matchup this weekend as they host the number 9 Arkansas Razorbacks in their final SEC home series of the season. This one gets underway tonight at 6 p.m. at Davis Diamond, and the Aggies, who are sitting at 40-6 overall and 13-4 in the SEC, will continue the series Saturday at 4 p.m. with the finale set for Sunday at noon. And that final game will be featured live on the SEC Network as A&M looks to close out their home slate with a win over the Razorbacks on Senior Day. And lastly, men's basketball, Coach Bucky McMillan has officially introduced Warren Fitzpatrick as the Aggies' new Director of Operations and Assistant General Manager. He joins A&M from Samford, where he worked alongside Coach McMillan for the past 3 seasons. In 2022, he served as their Director of Ops and was elevated to Chief of Staff in 2024. Coach McMillan continues to build the Aggies' 2025-26 roster, adding veteran guard Duke Miles on Wednesday. He's a native of Montgomery, Alabama, and he brings experience and production to the roster, scoring over 1,300 career points with more than 300 assists across 5 seasons at Troy, High Point, and most recently at Oklahoma. He started all 34 games for the Sooners last season, helping lead them to an NCAA tournament appearance. He was just one of 5 players to shoot better than 50% from the field, 40% from 3, and 80% from the free throw line, finishing the year with 320 points. And as we know, that free throw stat is very promising considering how the Aggies have played in the last couple of years. So excited to see that one play out.
Callie, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
OB, one last bite.
All right.
Do you think you know which one it is?
I have no idea.
All right, this is a movie quote that you have definitely done on this show.
Okay.
I think in the last month, but several times throughout our time. Check it.
He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue.
That's the Chicago way.
That's the Chicago way.
Make it to College Station.
The Aggie way. Let's go.
I love that line.
Yeah, it's a great line. Look, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it is.
I hope Monday's fun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I really hope. I hope Monday is fun.
I'm going to gloat my ass off.
And if not, we'll just be grumpy and people will blame us, and it is what it is. OB, thank you, sir.
Yeah, you bet.
When we come back here on TexAgs Live, 3 actual baseball guys, experts, the baseball bunch. Next on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. 3, 2, 1.
Bang.
Welcome into the Baseball Bunch here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. You guys can't hear it, but Eye of the Tiger is the song in the background. Scott Clendenin, Richard Zane, Ryan Brauninger. Gentlemen, friends, colleagues, how are you?
Good morning. I'm good.
Good day. Good morning.
It is going to be a good day. It's going to be a really good day.
Hopefully a good weekend.
So we had, as typical, the go hour was a little off the rails. So we're going to class up the joint with some real baseball talk this hour.
Y'all didn't do that in the first hour, real baseball talk?
See, that's his way of trying to do a dig.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know.
I asked a genuine question.
Yeah, but I saw
listen.
your face. See, I'm trying to class up the joint, and you're over here trying to derail, Bronathan.
Before we get to the real baseball talk, can I derail for a moment?
Of course.
I've got some things to say.
Yes, sir.
First off, I think the three of us sat here on opening day and said that we were tired of talking about last year, right? But I also think it's disingenuous to talk about this weekend without referencing what happened in June. I know you and Olin did that in the first segment earlier. So, so that's really the only time I'm going to acknowledge that. Second, kind of playing off my first point, is there's been like a groundswell of burner accounts and people who are hiding anonymously on Twitter talking about this company and thinking that we're some like magic hand behind the scenes that's preventing A&M from being successful. Obviously, that makes no sense. Playing off of that, one of the narratives I saw this week was that TexAgs didn't know Coach Schlossnagle was leaving A&M before it happened, which Ronnie, you, myself, everybody in the back knows that's hilariously false. Billy did a great job with that. I think there was no reason for us to report on that until it happened. When we found out, David Pierce was still the head baseball coach at Texas for at least a month and a half.
Yep.
So there was no job to report on. And the way we handled it, if we had reported on it at the end of April, think about the outside noise that would have derailed that team. And that was the greatest ride I think any A&M baseball team's ever gone on, correct? So would you have sacrificed the fun you had in June to know that the head coach was leaving a month and a half earlier? Would you have sacrificed that because you think you're entitled to the information? I think not. And then lastly, my parents have been asked if I'm going to Austin a lot. They want to know what I'm going to say to Coach Schlossnagle. Bronny and I are going to Austin. Yes. Our job is to report on Texas A&M baseball the same way it was when it was Rob Childress versus Augie Garrido, or the same way it was when it was Jim Schlossnagle versus David Pierce. The media availabilities, if you're looking for us to get into any sort of interaction with him, you're going to be wildly disappointed because the media gaggles, the media press conferences are separated. Right, we're going to be on the third base side interviewing the Aggies, talking to Coach early and the players to find out why A&M won or lost. There should be no reason for us to interact with them. So if you're looking for some sort of incident, you're going to be disappointed. That's all I've got to say.
To kind of wrap it up and start the other dialogue, what I said in the first hour, and I think you guys agree with me, while I think about what happened in June and what has happened since, to me it's about let's win another series. At the end of the day, I mean, yes, I always want to beat Texas, and I always want to beat them 50-0 whenever possible, right? But it's about winning another series for this season and this team because there's a lot more baseball, I hope, ahead of bigger weekends than this one.
What I don't understand is, like, I do understand there's going to be a lot of emotional people walking into Dish Falk today and this weekend wearing maroon, understandably so. I hope that those emotional people aren't the players and the coaches. And based off our interactions with them this week, players and coaches, it doesn't seem to be that way. I think they all did a good job. I listened to the press conferences yesterday with Hensler, Prager, and Coach Early, and did a great job of acknowledging they know the importance of the series. But for them, what's got their season back online and tried to help get themselves out of this hole is the way they've approached it, with a narrow focus and a single game mentality. So I understand the emotion of people walking into the ballpark, the fans from the A&M side. What I don't get is the reciprocated emotion outside of the rivalry. Like, what are Texas fans upset with A&M about? But I haven't. To be honest, I haven't seen too much of that. I would be nitpicking and kind of selectively taking tweets that I was mentioned in about that. But look, you knew it was going to happen, especially after Tuesday. Once both midweeks wrapped up and everybody's focus turned to this series, that the hype around it was probably going to exceed the importance of the actual games and what it means for Texas A&M. For the fans, it can't be that way for the players.
It's huge, right? Like, we know all the narratives and all the stuff that's come out since June makes this even bigger.
Yep.
The way A&M's been playing the last 3 weeks makes this weekend even bigger. The fact that Texas is ranked number 1 makes this weekend even bigger. But A&M's found success on the road. They know that. They've beaten the number 1 team. They've beaten the top 2 team. They've got 2 series victories on the road in their last 2 trips. So they're rolling into Austin with some confidence, and they know that they've got to keep the main thing, control what they can control. And they're focused on doing that this weekend. I like what Bronny said. They seem extremely focused. It's a narrow focus. They're focused on themselves, and they're loose. They're still loose. They're not worried about what Texas is doing or anything like that. They've acknowledged the fact that somebody else is in the first base dugout at Disch Falk Field. They know him very well. But at the same time, it seems like they'd much rather be talking about Columbia and Penn than who their head coach used to be. And I like that about them.
Scotty?
I would be disingenuous if I said that following the regional in 1989, that it didn't piss me off when Cliff Gusson asked on an open mic at Disch Falk Field, where are the Aggies now? Because they played the day after and they were going to Omaha and the Aggies weren't. But I had a professional relationship with him after I started in the media. I had a great relationship with Augie Garrido. I don't know that I'll have any kind of relationship going forward with the previous coach here at Texas A&M, but none of that matters. What I felt as a fan when I was a student, when years later, that was all gone. Mm-hmm. And at some point in time, this will all be gone. And it'll still be A&M versus Texas, but there won't be any of the carryover, that's gone on since June for me and April for y'all. So the great thing is you have 2 teams that are playing great baseball. A&M is playing great baseball on the road in the SEC. Texas is playing great baseball at home in the SEC. And whereas I think this is going to be a preview of a super regional, if A&M plays well enough and continues to play well enough to make postseason play, this is just another year of A&M versus Texas. They're back in the conference again. They're going to play each other each year, and that's what I'm excited about, is these teams getting to play each other. And with something on the line always makes it better. And we're going to have that this week. A&M is playing at a level that Texas knows they're getting the best of the Aggies, and what it was like when they got on the plane leaving Nashville, that team doesn't exist anymore for A&M.
Scotty, you've been essentially the Aggie baseball historian. Is this the biggest regular season series between Texas A&M and Texas in the 102-year history? Biggest, most highly anticipated? How would you describe it?
Well, I would say that in 1989, it was that highly anticipated because Mark Johnson had not had success yet against Texas. And to lose the first game of that to Kirk Dressendorfer, when you're trying to break their record for the best start in the history of college baseball. That's what was on the line that Friday night at Olsen Field. 2 days later, you have the birth of Olsen Magic with John Byington. Then in 1993, when you're talking about that pitching staff of the Aggies, that team, and then you have Jeff Granger matched up against Brooks Kieschnick, that carried some weight there as well. In 99, there was a lot on the line in that series. All of that being said, this right here, it's as big as anyone, you're going to talk about 4 or 5 series in the history of this matchup. This is going to be in the top 5. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Well, and then considering what this felt like it was going to be maybe 5 weeks ago, right? It felt like A&M's season was ending. 3.5 weeks ago, how long ago? A month ago when they lost on Friday night to Tennessee, no hit, Bronny, and it was just it felt like the end. Now you got the 2 hottest teams. Yeah,
and to credit the Longhorns, they've been playing at that level from the very get-go. Mm-hmm. And probably above their heads or above their perceived heads going into the season. But we know that that guy over there can coach the game. He can flat out coach the game. There's no question about it. I've never, in all my commentary about it, I've never made any bones about what kind of baseball coach he is. And he can coach. And his structure of his program, the structure of his practices are all really good. I have a hard time seeing A&M run away from Texas in any of these games because they are not going to beat themselves. They're going to throw strikes. They're going to play clean defense. They're going to take their walks, all that kind of stuff. You are going to have to go out there and beat them. And I think just the brand of baseball that they play, it's going to lend itself to close games. Like I think all these are going to bring your antacid, bring your heartburn medication because they're going to be back and forth affairs. But I mean, how is that dissimilar to any other series in this league?
Yeah.
When you walk into Nashville, you walk into Knoxville, you walk into Fayetteville, it's not much different, you know. So A&M's gotten themselves off the map, no question about it. And one of my favorite things, we've already spent too much time talking about the previous head coach. I want to talk about this head coach. And I want to talk about that. I hope this head coach is here for 20 years as the head baseball coach at Texas A&M. And we've not talked enough about his consistency and message early on whenever he was coming on with us, David, on those Mondays. And sometimes he sounded down in the dumps. But the one word that kept coming up was belief.
Yep.
I believe that these guys are better players. I've seen them do it. I believe these guys are better. And we just got to keep going. And he came in here yesterday and talked about vitamins and medicine. You know, sometimes you got to change the medicine around because it's not working. The medicine you're taking is not working. So we got to change it around. And they've done that. He talked about their 2-strike plans and how they've worked on that over and over every Monday. It's something they've kind of implemented in part of their weekly practice routines. He's changed his formula. This team didn't come into the season the same team we thought it was going to be with the injuries, right? The offense, now it's getting to look more like what we thought. But in the meantime, what did we start seeing them do a few weeks ago? Run the bases and put the pedal down like crazy. Mm-hmm. You think that just happens because of the kids? Yeah, they take advantage of these kids' skill sets, but that's what a coach does. Look, there was a lot heaped on Mike Early here, and the biggest endorsement that I think he's gotten this year is what Tony Vitello said after that series, where he said, look, when I got the Tennessee job, nobody cared about this place in baseball. So I got to screw a lot of stuff up with nobody watching. And on the flip side, Mike Early, everybody's watching. Everybody's been watching. So, yeah, to expect him to come in and be a year 6 Tony Vitello or a year 18 Rob Childress, that's too much to ask. He's learning on the fly too. But guess what? Like, what have you seen out of his demeanor when he comes in here? What have we seen about how the kids are responding to that belief? Belief can be bloodied, it can be fractured, it can be punched in the mouth. But it's not real belief if it goes away.
Yep. And
these kids should be commended and the staff should be commended because that belief, even though it was fractured and bloodied, never left.
Richard, he sat in this studio where Bronny's sitting, and there was a confidence in his demeanor, right? You went to the press conference, and it's not cocky. It's more like, we know what we're working with.
Well, I mean, he's starting to win. Everything that Brauninger has said, right? If you can believe, but if you don't have the results, it's easy for other people to quit believing. It's easy for other people to quit. To Mike's credit, and to the credit of the coaching staff, and to the credit of the kids, and he said it over and over and over. You're not going to see anybody quit. You're not going to see anybody quit. They haven't. And they found a way to win some ball games, in very exciting fashion, and now they finally got the confidence, and they're playing loosely, and you can see it on the coach's demeanor, and you can see it in the demeanor of the players, and they just need to keep it rolling. Just got to keep it rolling, Scotty.
Well, I think that, and this is any coach in any program, you have to be yourself. If you're always yourself and you don't try to change, if you try to change ships in midstream, you're going to run into problems. So if you're a guy that has always called plays, then why are you stopping calling plays? If you are a guy, why would you give that up for another sport? If you are a positive guy that talks about things are going to work out in your favor, if all of a sudden you turn into a huge negative guy, I don't think that helps your message. You have to be who your message is. And if you're who your message is all the time, then you're genuine. And if you're genuine, your players gather that from you. So when they tell you that, I believe that you're going to hit because you've always been genuine with you, Coach really believes that. He's not making this up because we're in a hitting slump.
Well, I do think there's something to be said that this is the first time he's been a head coach of any team ever.
Yes.
Any team ever. And people kind of, it's funny because the criticism of Bucky McMillan was like, oh, he's a high school head coach, and then he was a mid-major head coach. I'm sitting there going, yeah, but he's been a head coach. Michael Early didn't know, he was trying to be himself, but he didn't know what himself was as a head coach. All of that starts to formulate itself the more you go through it and the more adversity that you have. where he's never had to manage an entire roster of 40 guys. He's had to just manage hitters. So now you got to learn how to talk to the pitchers. And the way I talk to Ryan Prager is a different way that I talk to Caden Wilson. And then I'd start bringing in guys out of the transfer portal and true freshmen that I helped recruit, but not on the mound. How do I talk to Caden McCoy? How do I talk to Gavin Lyons? Caleb Longley was the connection there. So there's so many odds and ends that you can never fully prepare for before a season starts that I think, look, and I've talked to Coach Early about it. When he would come on here, early, when they were going through those doldrums, David, and he came in here and did some of these interviews or did them on the phone, he sounded beat. He did.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know that about himself yet. And it's a credit to him that he goes, okay, I don't have this all figured out. How can I improve each and every area? Not just my team. That's the number one goal, is to coach my team and get them better. But being the head coach of a program like this, there's part of a show that goes on. Being the head coach of a 12U team in travel baseball, there should be a little bit of a show that goes on, that no parent in the stands could look at your practices and go, well, I could do that. And no parent or fan in the stands could look at you in game and go, well, I could do that. Like, there's part of this gravitas, this show that you have to put on. And he's learning that, where his confidence can never be wavering.
Yep.
Because the kids see that.
He has to be himself.
Right. And so he's learning what himself is right now and what he's going to be as a head coach, hopefully at Texas A&M for a long time. That person is being molded right now.
I want to hit one more thing about the emotions of this series before we move on and go to the next segment. Scott, does anybody have the advantage here? Because Schloss knows these players, okay? These players have been in this spotlight before. Conversely, Michael Early knows what they're doing. Not the players per se, but that staff he knows as well. So does anybody have an advantage when it comes to the emotions of this series?
Not to the emotions, and probably not to the knowledge. You change and you evolve all the time as players. And it's not like a whole bunch of players ended up in Austin that they coached together, okay? They stayed in College Station. So, yes, Texas is going to know more about A&M's players that they coached, all right? But they're not going to know any special formula to beat those guys. They're not going to know that there's a pitch that Jace Lavalette cannot hit. Well, if there's a pitch that Jace Lavalette could not hit, I haven't seen anybody throw it consistently at him. So they're not going to know what the kryptonite for Sorrell is and what the kryptonite for Hayden Schott is. So it is still up to this team to not play the guy in the dugout and play the 9 guys on the field. And I think that is what this team has already shown, because they didn't play what was in the dugout against Tennessee. They didn't play against the stands in Arkansas, which is just as tough a place to play as it is to go to Austin. They played baseball against the guys on the field. And that is the true measure that this team has done, is they have focused in and not let the outside and not let who they were playing affect who they were playing on the field.
Even the outside noise when they were losing games, they haven't let it affect them. And that's one thing I wrote this week, was that this A&M team should, at this point, be used to dealing with hype and how to digest it and then how to get it out. And because internally they felt pressure, externally they felt pressure. Back in late February, early mid-March, all the way through that Vanderbilt series, they felt that, and they've dealt with it, and they swallowed it, and they put it behind them. So I think my inclination is all this stuff that's going on around them this week, they're like, we've dealt with worse.
Yeah.
We've dealt with worse already this season.
0-6 and going to Tennessee is a lot worse. 1-8 and going to Tennessee is a lot worse than where you have to go to Austin from.
If you're worried about one coaching staff knowing more about one club than the other, where was Caleb Longley last year? Right?
Yeah.
And also, Mike even addressed it, I believe it was with us or maybe in his press conference yesterday. He knows exactly the style of baseball that Texas coaching staff wants to play. They can prepare for that. So scouting reports are going to even themselves out, and it's going to be up to the players. And as far as emotion goes, I don't think one team has the advantage over the other when it comes to emotion, because it's up to you to manage the emotion. It's up to each individual guy to manage the emotion, and the team that does that the best collectively is going to be the team that's going to have the advantage when it comes to emotion.
All right, let's hit a break. Full hour of the Baseball Bunch here on TexAgs Live. When it comes to preserving your farm or your ranch's legacy, it's not just about capturing pretty pictures of your land. Sure, that's great and all, but Heritage Films' new product, Farm and Ranch Films, understands what really matters, transferring the values that you built your operation on to the generations who are going to inherit it. Chance McClain's a dear friend of mine. He started Heritage Films, about 5 years ago, and he's interviewed thousands of people across America and discovered something profound. These aren't just businesses, they're blueprints for building character. That's what happens. From timber farmers thinking about 100-year cycles to cattle ranchers preserving traditions, Farm and Ranch Films captures wisdom for your grandkids, and they're going to need it. Visit yourheritagefilm.com and click on Farm and Ranch or call 713-893-8341 to preserve not just the story, but the family's foundation. It's Heritage Films.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Liucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Liucci sent you by.
We are back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. The Troubadour Festival returns to Aggie Park on Saturday, May 17th for the ultimate Texas barbecue and country music experience. You can sample smoked meats from 30 of the best barbecue joints in Texas. See a music lineup that includes Shane Smith and the Saints, Randy Rogers and Wade Bowen on their Hold My Beer and Watch This tour. 49 Winchester, Josh Milroe, and Hudson Westbrook, and much, much more. Tickets are on sale now at troubadourfestival.com. All right.
I need to get on that Randy Rogers weight loss. Have you seen him lately?
I have not.
Real slim.
I'm checking my schedule. Saturday, May 17th.
I think A&M's at Georgia.
Well, you're MIA.
I'm out.
I'm not. Huh.
I'm supposed to be going to
have some
Athens.
barbecue.
I actually do, yeah.
Sweet.
I might know somebody who knows somebody.
Hey, do you know somebody who knows somebody? I need to talk to you.
Yeah. The owner of this company, Billy Liucci, knows
Hey,
everybody.
can I ask you something? When you go to a festival like that, okay,
When I go? When David Nuño
when
goes.
you go,
Yeah.
and it's a barbecue festival. There's food there. How do you get your food scale past security?
Well, Bronny, that's a great question. I have many years of eyeballing and knowing what 6 ounces of protein looks like, and also understanding the different fat contents and all different types of meats. If I want turkey, I'll go a little bit more eyeball, and if I want, if it's a lot fat, like in brisket, I'll maybe go a little bit less.
So what do you do with?
So why do you need a food scale in the first place?
Okay, so why
Every
would this
week.
just be a massive cheat day?
I never said I wasn't going to do it. If I go, I'm
how much? So how do you eyeball banana pudding?
Okay, I'm not a big sweets guy. I'm not in the sweets community.
Couldn't tell.
What about the tres leches?
Oh, man, got that. All right. It's the 27th minute of the hour. Let's talk some baseball. What are we going to credit? And this is kind of an open-ended question, and we've talked about it in different parts. But what do we credit? And Scotty, you start us off. The turnaround. 10 out of their 11 games. What has been the key difference in your eyes?
Well, the interesting thing is it's hitting.
Yeah.
And I went back and looked, and since they left Nashville, and Bronny and I talked about this outside, they're in 281 with 31 home runs and 105 RBIs in SEC games. They're slugging .571, and their OPS is .959. And that's at the top half of this league. What the team they are now is at the top half of this league because of those offensive numbers. They've stolen 15 of 16 bases. They were 1 of 1 before they started doing that. There's your change in them being aggressive running the bases. And it became a focal point. And it isn't something they do all the time, but it's there now. It's in the toolkit. So they started hitting. And Caden Sorrell's returned. Bears returned to form that we had seen him at. And other guys picking it up.
Bender up.
The change in Bender up to take away the swing and miss out of his game. Because A&M had struck out 74 times.
That series in Nashville was an abomination at the plate.
The first 6 games, they'd struck out 74 times. They struck out 115 times since then, and that counts a no-hitter. I'm not deleting a no-hitter out of these things. They're averaging 9 runs a game in SEC play against real pitching staffs. Hitting is what has turned the table, and hitting is what Texas has not seen a team that hits like A&M come in that was actually hitting like that when they showed up at Disch-Falk Field.
To somewhat I agree with that. Everybody will point to, they played Georgia at home. Georgia's home and road splits, since Wes Johnson has been there, are pretty drastic. Go look at them. They are a very different team on the road than they are in their own ballpark.
Are they not checking gloves when they come out of the bullpen at home?
I don't know.
Things that make you go,
Yeah. Vanderbilt's kind of like that, too.
Things that make you go,
But then, again, Vanderbilt still is a top 10 team. They took their 10th loss on Tuesday night. And I understand home and road splits for Vandy. Yes, it is like that.
They just swept Georgia at home.
But you just kind of ignore the fact that Vandy actually looks a lot like Vandy has been historically. The last couple of years, Vandy's been down. Teams in this league, when the transfer portal opened up for them, all of a sudden you could equalize that advantage that Vandy had when they were giving out full scholarships to everybody. And Vandy had to come to a knowledge on how they were going to keep their roster at the level it was at previously. So they've made that adjustment, and Vandy looks like Vandy now. So I think that we're kind of throwing out the Vandy, series.
Well, that was the JV A&M team.
But it was.
Compared to offensively, compared to what it is now. At that moment in time, Bear had just gotten rolling, and TK was getting a bunch of singles, and that was about it. Caden Kent was mired in a terrible slump. The turnstile in left field, whoever was out there was giving you nothing offensively. it was early days of Ben Royo. So, like, and then Benderup obviously hadn't made the mechanical change yet. And it's funny because now where Blake Benderup was early in the year, hence the name, that's why we started calling him the boogeyman, where people acted like he was on some sort of no-fly list every time he struck out, to now they are like, what do you do at first base if Gavin Cash is healthy? I think you probably play Cash at first because he's been better defensively, but Benderup has got to be in the lineup.
Yeah.
Since Benderup made his mechanical adjustments, right, they started tinkering with the swing before the Tuesday at Sam, right? And then they made even more changes the Wednesday after. So going back to that game in Huntsville, he's hitting 12 for 32. That's 375, 5 homers, and 16 RBIs in 9 games. And he's hitting 7.
That's the varsity A&M lineup.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. And then if you get Cash back, and then you figure out DH with Schott, who, when Schott's been getting his at-bats, he's been getting hits. It's just an unfortunate spot where they're not as healthy as they want to be, so they can't get in the at-bats he probably deserves. Like, this is the lineup. It's still not as good as we thought it was going to be. It can't. This lineup cannot be as good as we thought it was going to be without Gavin Grahovic.
Yep.
It's impossible. And Gavin you're taking away 25 potentially plus homers, how many RBIs, all the slug, that kind of thing. But I think with the available personnel, we are starting to get close to their potential. Caden Kent is on a heater. Jace on a heater.
Best week as an Aggie last week.
And that's saying something.
I know.
The one guy that we haven't seen him be anywhere close to what he's been in the past and what he can be is Gavin Cash. If that guy turns it on, the way we know he's capable of turning it on, holy crap. This lineup is as good as anybody in the country.
And I don't want Gavin Cash to carry the emotions of being a Longhorn previously. I'm saying I don't want him to do that. But there is something about, hey, I'm going to go play at a place where I didn't have a lot of success. And it's only natural. So if Gavin Cash...
I think he'd be a little bit more motivated if this weekend was in Lubbock.
I agree. But he played the Longhorns a lot. I mean, he's played them more than anybody else on this team. And I think Gavin Cash wants to show up and have that kind of weekend. And that's why I asked Coach about how do you address Caden Sorrell. And I thought that was great insight, that it's not, hey, we think he's ready this week. It's, how is he today? How is he after he goes and takes some infield, outfield? How is he after he hits BP? When do I have to have my lineup ready? I'm checking with Caden Sorrell to see if he's going to be in the outfield or not.
A Gavin Cash heater, if he gets hot, he could end the season between 12 and 15 home runs. Like, he could hit 8 home runs between now and the end of the SEC tournament, no question.
Is Wyatt Hensler hitting the quietest 315 with 9 homers on the planet?
Probably.
Let's hit a break. I want to talk pitching, the loss of Spencer, Prager, hopefully a bounce-back performance, all these kind of things. We'll talk about that on the other side. Right now we're talking about keeping water local. The water in Brazos and Robertson County are right now out-of-state interests are eyeing them, threatening our community's future. And I want you to consider Keep Water Local. It's the water that we see all around us, right? And a group of neighbors are fighting to protect what matters most. If you care about this community, you got to realize it's about more than just drinking water. It's about preserving the farms, the businesses, and the Aggie spirit that makes this place so special. Losing control of water means losing the future. If you want to make a difference, what you need to do is go to head to keepwaterlocal.org. Keepwaterlocal.org. Get involved. Let's keep our water right here where it belongs. Local. And we're back. It is TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 2 of the program, the baseball bunch, Scott Clendenin, Ryan Brauninger, and Richard Zane. Guys, a text came in earlier, David in H-Town. How big is it that Spencer is done for the season for Texas? Let's just talk about it for this weekend's purposes, especially since it involves A&M. Brian, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I think it's obviously a big blow because this is a guy that had been leading their pitching staff. I don't know that I would say that he has the best stuff on their pitching staff, but he's been their leader and has done a great job for them in Game 1 of the series. But it's a well-rounded group, and what you're going to have is some guys that have probably better stuff than Spencer eat those innings that he would have been throwing. When you look at Max Grubbs or you look at Ruger Riojas, Luke Harrison. Luke Harrison's a very seasoned guy. They got Will Mercer in there. That's another really old guy, seasoned guy that can come give them quality innings. And it's a big blow for them, obviously. And A&M's dealt with their fair share of injuries this year, so I don't think either side's going to feel sorry for the other. When you combine Spencer with Max Ballou for Texas and Grahovic, Sorrell, and Stewart, also Cedeo for A&M. And we'll see. I don't know. Has Texas announced a rotation?
Yeah, they have Rojas.
So you're going to see big time swing and miss stuff. Misses a ton of barrels, throws a bunch of strikes. I'm not sure. You may have it right there, Scotty. His longest outing of the year.
Well, that's what I was about to say.
Innings.
Yeah, 7 innings
against Missouri.
Okay,
so I don't even know if that counts, but
you better watch out. Missouri's going to beat somebody.
I understand, and I will rave about them when they get to Bluebell.
Close ball game with Alabama last night.
But Harrison is about a 4 to 5 inning pitcher. Then you go to what Flores is even a little less than that because he hasn't been a starter. So the innings that have been deleted and how you fill them is going to be the change.
Well, but
they have been good in relief, but now the role has changed. And when I'm giving you the ball has changed. And are we going to push a guy an extra inning? That's something that coach and that coaching staff are really good at, and knowing when to go get them and when not. But the deletion of a guy that I know I'm going to get 5, 6, or 7 out of, that's gonna affect the totals.
Well,
at some point in time.
Riojas had been sort of their Weston Moss type of guy this year, where it's a high leverage spot. He can get you to the end of games. He can close out games. They obviously feel comfortable with him starting. So you do pull that guy out of the pen. The issue is that Texas has an ace down there in Dylan Volantis, the freshman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's big time stuff. This kid's going to be a high round major league draft pick. He's out of California, and it's big time elite stuff. And he has been wipeout for the better part of the season. Now, A&M has done a good job recently against guys that came into the series with similar numbers. When you look at Jimenez for Arkansas, Fouch for Arkansas, who was the guy of the pen for Tennessee that they beat up pretty good, that had good numbers. So A&M, this is going to be very similar to what they've seen in the last 2 road series weekends in terms of overall stuff and pitch arsenal from the opposition. So Texas, I would imagine they're going to manage it pretty well. They are going to throw it over the plate. They're going to force A&M to hit it regardless of whose hand the ball is leaving.
Volantis, 9 saves and 15 appearances. His whip is below 1. His ERA is 1.05. 46 Ks, 5 walks, and 34 1/3 innings.
He's better than that in SEC play.
It's insane.
In SEC play, he's 1-0 with 8 saves and a .47 ERA. And that's doing that against the best.
Yes.
I mean,
they've played
and that's why I thought Jace was the best freshman in the country 2 years ago, because his numbers against the SEC were better than the other great numbers that freshmen were having in the league. So that is huge. I mean, that is hands down freshman of the year in every league type stuff. How often will he be used? What A&M does to put him in a position where, is it an actual save situation? That's what this offense has to continue to do. And that's why I love the 70 walks to 115 strikeouts that they've had since Kentucky. And that is where this team took away that swing and miss, going back to what you said about Mondays and teamwork to hit strikes. That is where this team is locked in, is they are back to Aggie baseball of taking balls and hitting strikes.
And hitting strikes is a key thing there because you go back and you look at their whiff rate early in the season, Alabama, Vandy, Kentucky, New Mexico State even. The series before that was at Cal Poly, the weekend in Houston. Through that spell, their swing and miss rate in the zone was way too high. Way, way too high. And I think if you go back, and now you have the benefit of hindsight, which I don't like doing because everybody is an outstanding head coach with the benefit of hindsight. But if you go back and look at hindsight, maybe that is where the belief that the unwavering belief that Michael Early showed and talked about came from, going, there's no way this club is going to swing and miss at pitches in the zone this much. Eventually, we're going to start hitting them, and they have. So maybe that's where that came from. But one of the key things that Scott said is, they're swinging at balls in the zone, and they're hitting them. There's no longer the swing and miss on balls they should be putting in play.
Because Blake Benderup is not now swinging the balls that were outside the plate.
Even though he's getting them called.
Yes. Well, it was as bad on Tuesday night. We saw a strike that nearly got dirty as well. But
I don't think we want to go down the umpiring road again.
No, we've had next week. I'll come up with something because y'all have started the show exactly right 2 weeks in a row. But yeah, that is actually a factor this weekend. Will the because I thought last week in the umpiring, considering Arkansas is a place that affects umpiring, stood okay at times.
Guy in game 3, good.
Yeah.
The guy in game 1 was an embarrassment.
Right. Stood good at times. And I want to see, just because A&M is not ranked and there are other ranked conference matchups this weekend, I want to see a group of umpires that raises to the level of what this series actually is today.
Listen, I'm not singing out A&M games. I watched Alabama and LSU last week. Justin LeBron got a strike 3 called on him that was asinine, and it was in a huge spot in the game. We're 2 men on and 2 out. And it's a full count pitch. Justin LeBron's one of the players in the conference going, if he don't swing at it, it's probably a ball.
Yeah,
and it's clearly a ball. It was unbelievable that gets called a strike in that series, in that scenario against that hitter.
Yep.
This league has a problem. They have a problem with umpires.
Let's not have one this weekend.
Before we hit a break, the Prager angle, getting him back right, and also the importance of a Friday. To me, if you lose game 1, you can still win the series, obviously. But the momentum would continue with a Friday night win. Just Richard starts off.
I'm going to echo what Bronny said last week, right? We're still going to believe in Ryan Prager because of what he has accomplished during his college career, the accolades he has, and just because we know the kid, how smart he is, and that just even-keeled disposition. He doesn't let anything shake him. I believe that Ryan Prager has a bounce-back performance in him somewhere down the stretch. He's got 4 regular season starts
I think he's got more than 1.
Yeah.
I think he's got a run coming.
I imagine one of them, it's coming soon, right? We're running out of runway, so it's coming soon. Ryan Prager is going to bounce back. Just as a reminder how good he can be, before conference play started, his ERA sat at 0.39. He is capable of being the ace of this ball club. He is the ace of this ball club still. He will be until he leaves this place.
What was his best start of his career?
Kentucky in the College World Series.
That's what I was saying.
Biggest stage.
The biggest
Took
stage.
a no-hitter into the 7th inning.
And we talked about this last Friday. They did make a play in left field that changed Ryan Prager's perception of his outing last week because a home run came after it. And instead of it being a solo shot, which in this league, people hit solo shots, even against the best pitchers. It's, is there anybody on and does it change the ball game? And that changed the ball game last week. And A&M didn't have that in the games after that. I didn't think Ryan Prager against Arkansas, the respect I had for their lineup didn't change with what happened in the 2 wins against them, but Ryan Prager was right there. And if Ryan Prager gets that this week, if he takes the right there and pushes on through, and A&M still doesn't win, I'm not going to put it on Ryan Prager because it's there.
To Scotty's credit, you've seen him in each of his last 2 starts. He'd have an inning or 2 in his starts where it'd be like 13 pitches, 3 up, 3 down, and he'd look like vintage Ryan Prager. He hasn't gotten help from his defense too much. And then when he hasn't been right, he has still battled and eaten innings in losses that has allowed A&M to save the bullpen for later in the series when they've found ways to win games.
We got to hit a break here.
Okay.
Listen,
real quick. Tennessee Arkansas very similar to Texas in that they want to slug, right? So Prager has faced similar lineups in 2 of his last 3 outings. These guys want to hit the ball out of the ballpark. You're going to see big swings from Galvan, Gasparino, Schussler. These are big swinging dudes. So they've got some thump in there. He's had to manage it 2 times, so I'll have to do it again today.
Milliken Reserve is a farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got farms, they got wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. They got some awesome events coming up over the next few weeks. You got volunteer at the farm this weekend on both Saturday and Sunday. Farm stand, trail running with the Lone Stars, day at play for kids to play, and Milliken Reserve Fishing Day. That's on the 26th from 1 to 3 o'clock. There's these kind of lists all the time. Just go to millikenreserve.com/calendar. You see all their awesome events. If you want to learn more about the community, learn about the events, all you need to do is go to millikenreserve.com. That is millikenreserve.com. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio Baseball Bunch here on a Friday. Bronny, let's start with you. Who are your eyes on? Who's somebody we can expect a nice weekend from?
Well, with the change in the starting rotation for Texas and Riojas going tonight, if Gavin Cash is healthy, I think they're going to play him at first base for the matchup. And then could we see Hayden Schott get in the lineup against a right-hander? If they switch, if the Texas goes to the bullpen, they bring in a left-hander, then you have Bender up to either go to first or he can go in that DH spot, depending on does Schott or Cash play better against left-handers. that's where I'm really interested to see that dynamic between first base and DH over the weekend. Give me Caden Sorrell, though.
Richard?
I'll take Ryan Prager.
Okay.
I'm gonna ride Winston Moss. I think Moss is a guy that when he goes to the mound, A&M's winning that game. And right now, whether it's game 1, 2, or 3, they're in a position they're only going to give Moss a chance to win the game, and that is very Evan Aschenbeck type role. And he has embraced it, and the heater he is on, it's special right now. And it has not always been pretty, and he's had his back against the wall in a couple of these where that emotion of him coming off the mound right there is what he needs to be all the time.
I think going in, getting one is massive. Getting one keeps your season moving toward the postseason, right? It helps you dig out of that hole. Obviously, they want to win the series. If they are going to win the series, Ben Royo and Yamal George, if he's in the game, the 8 and 9 holes can't be auto outs. They got to move the baseball. Just move it, get to first base, and see what happens after it. Also, I think the defense will play about evenly if Sorrell's back. Like, I think they're even defensive ball clubs. I think Texas has the advantage in the bullpen. They have multiple guys outside of where A&M's only got Moss that's proven himself.
Well, Jackson's been pretty good too. I mean, they've got guys. It's just they haven't been as consistent as Longhorns. I'm going to tip my hat again to Ben Royo. The way he played defense when he wasn't hitting, he made huge plays at Arkansas. And then when he had his opportunity and ran the ball out of the yard, that validated the fact that I'm not going to carry the plate to the field and I'm going to be ready when my time is at the plate. Even when he was slumping that weekend, that was as big a swing as the Aggies had.
Been a while since Bear Harrison had an extra base hit. Keep an eye on that.
Keep an eye on that. Gentlemen, thank you very much. When we come back on TexAgs Live, Billy Liucci should be in studio. Before him, though, we will do Around the SEC. Nick's got some topics for us. With Billy, we'll talk about the baseball weekend, obviously. Talk some NFL draft and some other news happening from the spring. We'll get into all that, plus your text messages at 979-693-1150. It's TexAgs Live. Why'd you stop singing?
Living on a prayer.
That's the Griggs. TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 3 of the program. Billy should be joining us here in a moment. But how about this? We need to give away some pizza. As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They have been around Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. Let's do this, Nick. Let's do Around the SEC, brought to you by Jaxer. And Jaxer, if you're looking to build your dream home on your lot, let the Jaxer Group help you navigate the entire project from start to finish, making sure your home is perfectly suiting your lifestyle, your preference, and your budget to turn your dream home into a reality. Visit them at jaxsir.com. That's jaxer.com. Nick Savage, what do we have going on in Around the SEC?
Not too much. I'm actually going to steal a few of your notes, David, if you don't mind. You had them on the rundown a little bit earlier, and I find it really interesting. The first one that caught my eye, SEC and Big Ten combined have 26 of 32 first-rounders. That makes history there, and that's insane to me. That's 26 out of 32 first-round picks come from those two conferences, and as we all know, I'm sure, it just seems like those two conferences are drifting further and further out in front of everybody else. Soon enough, it's going to be like the Power 2, you know. But the SEC claimed the first-round crown with 15 athletes selected to the Big Ten's 11. The SEC also tied its own record set in 2020 for the most first-round selections by a single conference. So, of course, the lone Aggie taken is Shamar Stewart by the Bengals in the first round. Any first-round picks surprise you? I think the biggest storyline, I guess, or I don't know if it was technically a surprise, but Shedeur Sanders falling out of the first round. That surprised you at all?
So I've heard good things about his character. I know that he called out his he's called out his teammates in the past, but I've heard really good things about Shedeur when it comes to character. But I look at him and the style of football he plays and his size, and I go back to 2010 David, right? Like where I'm having a hard time seeing that type of quarterback thriving in the NFL. That being said, there are several examples of guys that have thrived. I've heard that Shedeur could, I say what I heard, be interesting to see where he goes. Jalen Milroe, will he go before him, right? Could you see a Jalen Milroe situation where he goes before him? One of the places I saw that Milroe could go is to the Rams, somewhere in the middle of the second round. And with Matthew Stafford, obviously there, older quarterback, 36, 37 years old. Maybe they could bring in a Jalen Milroe, which does not fit Matthew Stafford's style at all. But I thought that was an interesting thing. Travis Hunter going number 2. I think he's the best player in the draft. And from what I hear, everything about him is that guy's a football junkie. He just wants to play football. I heard a story about him just showing up at 7-on-7 events and saying, hey, I'll play with any team. Just get me on. And I love players like that. I think sometimes we look at Shedeur and you look at Travis, and maybe some people take away points because of the whole Colorado Deion braggadocio style. Travis Hunter is a football player. Absolutely. Shamar Stewart going to Cincinnati. I think that's a cool spot for him. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do there. He's a guy that the production, as we've mentioned many times, wasn't there. It was never about attitude. It was never about discipline. It was never about any of that stuff. It just, for some reason, maybe the scheme didn't work out. The numbers weren't there. But if you watch the game, you saw him disrupt. He just did not rack up the numbers. So that's kind of that. And when you look at the total numbers of picks here, Nick, in my opinion, is very interesting. Because the last couple of years, the Big Ten has won the national championship, right? The SEC does feel like it's lost a little footing when it comes to that. But I still think if you line up a bunch of SEC teams and a bunch of Big Ten teams, and you go 1 through 16, the SEC would dominate the Big Ten, even though the best teams from the Big Ten the last 2 years have been Michigan and Ohio State.
Absolutely. And the biggest shock to me, I guess, is the fact that Jackson Dart was taken before Shedeur. I feel like those two are Shedeur is the better of the two there. But, I mean, the Giants taking a chance on Jackson Dart. So
Well, I got a story on Jackson Dart. I actually heard this morning. I didn't know this. All right. So I think he's only 21 years old. Am I right about that? I think he's 21.
Callie says yes.
Okay. He's 21 years old. And when he had his pro day, when he was done with what was already scheduled, he told the NFL scouts, what throws do you want me to make? I'll do them for you. And apparently that's very rare for that to happen. The fact that he's like, look, just if you want to see something from me, I'll do it. Unrehearsed, let's go. Tell me what you want me to throw, I'll throw it. And that to me speaks like, remember, when they leave, I didn't like Jackson Dart when he was at Ole Miss because A&M had to face him a couple times, right? I didn't like, but all reports on Jackson Dart, good kid, good, obviously a great football player. I think it's very interesting to A, have that approach, and B, where he ended up. Oh my goodness. This might be a first. Billy Liucci and Jays in the studio.
What about my hair?
I didn't want to go there. Different look. Short / mafia slick back without the grease.
I think it looks nice.
Your mic's not on. Let me help you. You got that. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Looks good.
No, her. I said her.
Oh.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
like it. Oh, you're welcome.
Would you? But you're not mean. You wouldn't say if you didn't like it.
Well, I just
Yeah,
wouldn't,
she just
I
wouldn't
just wouldn't
say
say
she would have
anything.
abstained, or she would have laughed. You can laugh, like, I mean, you can't because I think it actually looks pretty good. But it's a little short on the back, but we'll grow it back out.
It looks
It'll
good.
take like 2 weeks to grow out.
Quality.
Mafia. That was a racist statement.
Why?
Do you hear
I'm in the community. I can
the
say it.
funny thing, I think it was Shane Gillis that said like Italians are the only ones that they're only ones that are only race that's fair game anymore.
You can go after. Yeah. My good friend Shane Gillis, by the way.
Yeah, your buddy.
Yeah.
Your old co-host. All right, let me put the hat back.
We had a good show. Anyway, how are you, buddy?
I'm good.
I like your Air Jordans.
I actually got up, got a haircut, got the new Air Jordans that we got from Academy.
The Lucas,
and I'm ready to go to. I'm ready to head to Austin.
Yeah, Austin.
And not right away, but get up there in time to pregame a little, meet up with some people, and then go to the game.
I'm looking
Be
forward
sitting
to
over
it.
there right past. I'm assuming it's right past the Aggie dugout, where the A&M section was last time, but I haven't checked the tickets. But I'm assuming I was placed.
We've
Thank
dissected this game in multiple angles, obviously with the baseball bunch and then in the go hour. Billy, where I keep putting my head in, this series obviously means so much for. But I have tried, not even try. I have graduated to the fact that I want to beat them, of course, because of everything that happened. I really want to beat them for what it means to this SEC season and this schedule, and A&M trying to get right back up to the top of maybe even hosting a regional if they can continue winning these series against 1-2-1.
Well, this would be a massive series if there was no storyline.
Mm-hmm.
It was outside of it being A&M in Texas for the first time since, I guess, 2011, or I guess it would be 2012 baseball season. If that was the storyline, that's a massive storyline. And then you combine that with the fact that the Aggies had a couple weeks ago beaten number 1 on the road. Then they beat number 2 on the road. Now they're playing number 1 on the road again. They've got 2 more massive series looming down the road. Like, this is a big-time series for Texas A&M, the team that played for the national title last year, that is in a first year of a new head coach, fighting to get into the postseason. They could, look, you'd still have 9 conference games, so you are not in anything. You drop 2 of 3 unexpectedly to Missouri, then it changes everything. But the reality is, if they can go win this series this weekend, they are looking like really, really, they're looking like they're in excellent shape to make the postseason, outstanding shape to make the postseason. And then on top of that, if you win this series this weekend, I believe you start talking about what will it take to host a regional. In 4 weeks, you would have beaten 1 on the road, 2 on the road, 1 on the road. I don't know if that's ever happened in the history of college baseball. I bet it hasn't. I would bet a lot of money that no one in the history of this sport has beaten
1-2-1.
1-2-1.
On the
maybe
road.
even in a season when it comes to like series, much less on the road. And then one thing that you probably can't even find out is to do it in the span of a calendar month. So what's at stake for A&M right now with just, you say, okay, it's the first year of a head coach. They played for the national title last year. They're fighting for their postseason lives. Oh, by the way, it's A&M versus Texas for the first time since 2011 in a 3-game series. Now, they've met in Omaha. They've met in a regional. There's a lot. They've played for some high stakes, right? Yeah. But nothing like this right now. And that's because of the other storyline, which is Slosh going to Texas the day after A&M season ended last year in the national championship game. Michael Early going with him, coming back, wanting this head job more than anything in the world, getting it, the way the season started to where it is now. All those players that, look, to me, as bad as anything else that was done on my list, it's the Zane comment. Number 2. Number 1 is going to that school and trying to court and take, depending on who you ask, at a minimum, before the bus even got from the airport to the stadium, but at best, in terms of at best for Slosh, it was in that baseball facility right when they got back. Mm-hmm. Like right when they got back. But that's at best to recruit and try to get Jay Slavulette, Ryan Prager, Gavin Grahovic, Caden Sorrell, Max Weiner going in and talking to all those pitchers and getting them together and trying to tell them to come to Austin with them, and them, those pitchers all basically giving them a collective middle finger and maybe some words to go with it that were said. So to me, that's the worst thing about the whole deal. I know it's not a coach going somewhere else. It's not a coach saying this is my career, this is my life, this is my livelihood, this is my, where do I want to be? That's all fine. I hated the way it was handled in terms of in secret. I didn't like, obviously, the exit, the timing of it. And then we as Aggies especially hate where he went. But that part to me is like, that's your decision. If he would have gone to South Carolina, we're pissed because it's Texas, and rightfully so. But that to me, like, that's his life decision. It's the way you handle it and go about it. And I just didn't like, and I still don't like how it's being portrayed as, well, it was like, it's felt like there's always been a push that it was and I feel like there's been some manipulation going on with other national media types to make it seem like it was a Trev Alberts thing, and that's why. That dude, I am firmly convinced and will always be, based on everything I know, that door, if it was cracked open, was shut by late April. Yep. And again, I've told this story several times. When I found out in late April, I didn't believe it was done. I thought, okay, he may have even said he's taking the job. That still doesn't mean it's done. That's happened a lot in sports. So my first action that following Monday was to tell Trev, here's what I heard. I think you have a problem. And let the AD and the people that can make things happen here try to keep the coach, because that was I think that's what everybody wanted at the time. But I think looking back, the reality was it was probably done back then. That I didn't like. I didn't like the way things went down in the presser. Mm-hmm. Quite frankly, if I knew that was going to happen, I wouldn't have had Zane ask the question. I would have myself, which in hindsight would have been the wrong thing to do, because Richard thought it was a great moment for him, like coming of age as a journalist moment, but didn't like the way that was handled, hated it. But there's still a thing that gets me the most, and I understand it's business, sports is business, and I wouldn't expect coaches not to do this, but to go after the A&M players like a day after they lost the national championship game. and try to catch them in the most emotional of moments where they didn't know who their coach was going to be and get them all to go from maroon and white to burnt orange. Look, I think there was a chance for Michael Early and Longley and those guys to do that with a couple guys that are on that Texas team right now. Get them caught in the transition, and they were tied into Longley, and they didn't do that. They did not, and I do believe there was opportunity or two or even a couple, 2, 3. They didn't do that. So, but I also don't get too upset over it because it's college sports.
Yep.
And we're looking at guys, coaches, players, every day changing programs. And if there's, we got a Longhorn on the A&M team, a former Longhorn, former Longhorn and Stewie. We got a former Aggie and Schussler over there. It happens. With that said, well, I'm hoping for big things from a former Longhorn tight end this year, Amari Niblo.
Yeah.
So I get it. I just don't like it, and I think that's the biggest thing that adds to my intrigue this weekend. Is it's that you have a bunch of players that coach wanted to come over there and push out the guys that are currently on his team, and they said no. And now those players that are currently on the team, they've forgiven and forgotten. No one came over to be an Aggie. No one went over to be a Longhorn. It's as it should be in the two clubhouses. So I like that. I think there's obviously added incentive, added intensity. I think both sides have pressure. I know the Penn Columbia thing is a fun distraction, but everybody's got to deal with pressure. I'm not saying they're going to let it. Either side's going to let it get to them, but they're going to have pressure to deal with this weekend. Probably today is when it's setting in for both sides, and I think Early and Slosh will be under pressure. I would love to see A&M put. Here's the biggest thing to me, the most interesting thing about this weekend in terms of just the baseball. Not the baseball like the matchups, but Texas has had no pressure this season in terms of they've had some devastating injuries. I don't mean they haven't had any roadblocks thrown in their way. To lose Ballou, who's playing like SEC Player of the Year, and then to lose a pitcher that was one of the best in the league.
And their Friday night guy.
Their Friday night guy, and he was an ace. And that just happened. But to lose those two guys, and look, A&M, which they lost Gavin Grahovic, who could have been having that same season Max Ballou was having. They lost Caden Sorrell up until 3 weeks ago, which you see how he's playing. Stretch that out over a whole season and tell me he wouldn't be contending. So they've and Stewie, obviously, their closer, they've dealt with a ton on the injury front themselves, but so has Texas here of late. So it's not to say they haven't had adversity, but they haven't had pressure from the standpoint of things have never gone wrong for them this year. And it's a credit to them in the way they've played, but it's been a fun ride that hasn't had a whole lot of moments that tested the players' resolve, the coach. And again, like if you win, that's your credit. That's not an indictment. But A&M's been through the ringer this year. And a lot of it's their own doing early in the season, but they have been through the ringer. And there was a huge transition, not only in coach, but those injuries early played a big part in that lineup being the way it was and shuffling and trying to figure crap out. But if A&M can go out there tonight and get a win with all that's at stake and all that's happened, I think for the first time this year, you put the head coach in that opposing dugout under a lot of stress and pressure. Because I saw him when they had to play TCU. And I know that last year in year 3, the hoops that he jumped through to keep A&M from playing TCU in that baseball tournament, which there was no reason for A&M and TCU not to play in that tourney. It didn't make any sense. There was some kind of, odd, awkward excuse that was kind of presented to, I think, to Brawny before it happened. And who are you to just sit and to say someone's just, this is not true when you don't know. And then you know after the fact that, that there were hoops jumped through to keep, the guy didn't want to play his old team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fine playing your old team if your new team's kicking their ass. It's still not great, but put some pressure tonight. If they go up 1-0 in a series and they don't have Ruger on Sunday like they normally do because they threw him on Friday, all of a sudden you get a little pressure and you see how that's handled. Probably handled fine. This is a Hall of Fame coach we're talking about. But go out tonight and put that pressure on them and see if the team and the players notice that. Wow, this is a little different. We haven't seen coach like this before. That's how you win this series, in my opinion. I think that's how, if A&M's to go out and win the series this weekend, I think that's how you do it.
All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back. I do want to talk about Ryan Brauninger on the other side with you. We got some NFL draft to get into.
Yeah.
Some Aggie spring stuff to look at as well. If you're looking for a reason to move back to Aggieland or are already living in Aggieland, you need a job, check out the Association of Former Students. They have a lot of positions open from time to time. They're looking to hire professionals to join their team. You can sometimes find positions in fundraising and sales and communications and marketing, several other areas as well. They're the nation's premier alumni association and the oldest organization supporting A&M and support of that Aggie network. They play a part in every Aggie story from Howdy to here. Don't miss opportunities to help out with Howdy Socials, Aggie Ring Day, class reunions, Aggie Muster, and everything in between. Join a team that exemplifies those Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service, all in support of that worldwide Aggie network. If you're interested in joining the team or sharing with someone that would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/association jobs to apply and get more information on each position. It is the Association of Former Students. And we are back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Talk a little Aggie baseball with Billy Liucci. Billy, the Friday night part of this, look, all three games are important. People were asking about the hair.
Yeah.
There's a guy who said it looks good.
Thank you, guy who said that.
His name is Bob.
Bob, thank you,
Made it up.
Bob.
I don't know who said it. Somebody on the YouTube page said it. It was a compliment.
Nuño,
yes, sir.
We got to work. We were just talking about this. We got to work on your bedside manner with people. Nick came in here, and we're going to go to lunch next week, and you made it sound like it was going to be now I'm just messing with it. Now I'm just screwing it up. You made it sound like it was going to be just like we were terminating him. And it's just literally a catch-up lunch because we never invite Nick to lunch.
That's your fault. That's A. B, this is not Jerry Maguire, and I'm not Jay Moore.
First of all, I invite him all the time.
Yeah, I will take Billy's side. He does invite me a lot.
He just said you've never invited him.
It's not true.
He just said it right there. I'm kidding. He actually said the opposite. You don't have headphones on. I love Nick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry that I made it sound so grim.
It's Grim Reaper.
You remember that scene, though, with Jay Moore?
Yes. Speaking of Jerry Maguire, it's the NFL draft. Let's talk about it.
Okay, we're done with baseball. Moving on. Shamar Stewart, number 17.
I'm not done with baseball until, minimum of Sunday. I'm going tonight and Saturday. Then coming back tomorrow because 2 nights down there is a lot. I'm not equipped to double up going out unless it's like even in home football games, like Friday nights, I know how to completely coast and just save it up for Saturday. But vacation, Billy, I've been told I'm an out-of-town drinker, which is pretty accurate, other than say a game weekend Saturday nights. But like going to dinner with your buddies here or people coming to, I'm always refraining, whatever. Out-of-town drinker. So a vacation like Vegas, I could do every night if it's 2, 3, 4 nights. New Orleans, Super Bowl, did that. Nashville, the SEC crew over there, had our fun. But if I can avoid, quote unquote, partying 2 nights in a row, I'm going to avoid it. So the avoidance this weekend is Austin tonight, baseball, social scene, lunch with friends, baseball, drive your ass back. And then I will revisit Sunday based on how the series is feeling.
Yeah,
we'll revisit whether or not I'm going to drive back in Sunday.
I would have partied with you on Saturday night in Austin if you were staying, but I guess I'm not going to go now. I do want to hit on that. I want to hit on that point about Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
As I was saying earlier, they're all important. You're trying to win 2, you're trying to win 3, right? No doubt. But I feel like the Friday night performance we get from Ryan Brauninger and the Friday night end result could carry this team to a series win. Like the Friday night part of it to me seems massive with what we've seen recently.
Yeah, I mean, Brauninger has been getting hit a lot more than he did last year, and I've heard all the reasons. I've heard the velo's down 3 to 4 months. And I don't question that if that's true or not. If someone's saying it, I'm going to assume they've got that accurately. Because it's obviously something. And maybe it's just that he had just an absolutely magical season last year and everything was going right. And that lineup was spectacular. But, I watched him beat Arkansas 1-0 here at Bluebell in a special performance. I watched him in Omaha beat Tennessee and shut them down. I watched him beat Florida, shut them down. So it's tough he beat Florida, right? He was the first. Yeah, he beat Florida and then Tennessee. It's tough to sit there and go, this is the same Brauninger in terms of stuff. Although people have now seen him a whole nother season. But I think it's just that he's not quite been himself. And I think every time he goes out, I'm sitting there going, this could be the night that he gets it back. Because I know he's that good, but I also know that if he can't, if there's some reason there that his stuff isn't the same, which I don't paint myself as a pitching expert or guru, but if there's some reason it's not, he's such a veteran and so experienced and has seen, every situation there is to see in the course of his career, that I feel like there's going to come a point in time, and maybe it's tonight, and maybe it's against LSU, and maybe it's not against Georgia or whatever. But so in other words, is it going to be a complete turning point at some point, and he looks the same and never looks back? I don't think that's I don't think that's impossible. But I also think it might just be where this guy is a veteran of college baseball. He's an ace. He's a winner. He's a proven winner. He's a proven competitor, and he's still got really good stuff.
Yep.
And I think there's going to be games, even if it doesn't click back to what we saw last year, which again it could, but if it doesn't, I think he can gut and guile and will his way into some pretty spectacular performances along the way. And maybe, just maybe, that's tonight. He pitched great against them last year. I know he gave up 2 solo home runs in that game, but that was a game where I didn't think he had his best stuff here in the regional last year, but he just gutted and willed his way through it. I do think, was that the game where he had the immaculate inning in this one? I think it was. Or maybe I think it was, where he had the 9-pitch, 9-strike, 3-strikeout inning. But this could be a real duel tonight. Riojas is a guy that A&M really wanted out of UTSA. Texas got him. He's had a hell of a year himself.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about the injury to Jared Spencer. This guy's coming in tonight. He's had a hell of a year. If A&M, if the bats can get to him early, that could shake up the whole series. If A&M's hitters can get to him and knock him out in the first 4 innings or so, that could alter the way this whole series looks. And so I think, and Texas is probably thinking the exact same thing with Prager.
They get the Prager
because they're like, if they could get to Weston Moss,
make him pitch a lot,
and then win the game, it changes the whole. So there's a lot that's going into tonight and how this thing's going to look after game 1. But I think Prager, I'm sorry, I'll just say it again. I just think people are writing him off too soon. And I know that they're not writing him off after just 2 starts. But I see people saying move him to another. I'm like, he's got Friday night. There's something about Friday night, and he's got the Friday night mentality.
Yep.
And I don't think his stuff is that far off if you talk to the A&M coaches.
All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with a little bit of NFL draft talk right now. If your wheels have been damaged by potholes, curbs, or medians, go see the experts at Brazos Valley Wheel Repair. Don't replace damaged rims, repair them. The experts there at Brazos Valley Wheel Repair have over 2 decades of experience and will always make sure that your wheels return to perfectly safe working conditions. The road force balance all wheels to make sure that you get the smoothest and safest ride possible. If your wheels are in good shape but just want a fresh new look, the pros at Brazos Valley Wheel Repair can create a unique custom look that will transform your car or truck, and every cosmetic repair that comes with a limited lifetime warranty. It is Brazos Valley Wheel Repair who offers interest-free financing and offers a first responders, active military, and veterans a 10% discount with ID, high-quality work, affordable pricing. That's the Brazos Valley Wheel Repair way. Find them at bvwheelrepair.com or in person at 508 Burnett Street in Bryan.
We've got to leave to go to Austin at 11 a.m. Why, Richard? Because we have to work. We have to check into our hotel, do our pregame, and get to the stadium. Last I checked, the game's at 7. It's less than 2 hours to Austin, so I start questioning. And I know what the deal is, and I say, Billa, we got to go. This is Bronny. We got to go to Styles Switch. It's a great barbecue restaurant. I never knew about it till you told me, but I've forgotten that you're the one that told me, so I'm going to tell you how great it is. Shane Styles, Aggie, your friend, that I've now hijacked trying to get free barbecue off of. And then we've got to go hunt down bourbon because I'm Bourbinger. And I'll correct all of your friends that have bourbon and give me a free bottle of bourbon. I'll still tell them that I know more about bourbon than they do.
You sound like...
That was a terrible Brawny voice.
You did much better at the break.
Well, it's more like, Billa, I've got to go. We've got to go down there and we got to get pregame and early asked us to get there early. We could interview him if we got there early. I'm not promising an interview. I was making that part up, but we got to get down there and parking's going to be, it's the big city, Billa. It's really rough down there.
Can you do the Richard voice again? Because it sounds like somebody.
I don't remember that.
I think it sounds like the wolf in Little Red Riding Hood. Like when you go to the door and you knock on the door and she's acting like the grandma.
What is
it? Little Red Riding Hood? The one that the wolf or the bear is acting like the grandma. Which one's that one?
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about.
That's the wolf.
In Little Red Riding Hood?
Yeah, the wolf, yeah. You're
classic
thinking of Goldilocks and the 3 bears.
Goldilocks, yeah. They were nice bears. Those were great bears.
Didn't they kill her?
Probably did, yeah. You know there's a Winnie the Pooh murder movie too, right?
No.
Okay, you've lost interest.
But, well, tell you, while we're in the break, guys, Nuño was telling me. So we've been at the gym together, and then he asked how it was going. I said, good. I said, I'm doing something like every morning upon getting up, just quick little 15-minute workout thing, just so in case I do nothing else the rest of the day, I've done that, and I've got my steps. And it just feels good. You know what he tells me? Like what I told him wasn't good enough. So he said, and then you have to go outside and go grounding. And I know what
Connect
this is.
with the earth.
I know what this is because I read this bull crap. You've got to go ground. Let the energy of the earth flow through your feet and up your body. And let me tell you something, man.
Look, man, I'm a functional medicine expert.
We live in College Station, Texas.
Okay.
So unless you're going to go walk through the woods in a park barefoot, and you want to do that, it's just like
my neighborhood was the woods.
If you want to eat like a caveman, then go hunt your damn food. Don't tell me you're paleo. I'm a caveman. You're not unless you go kill the food yourself.
I would like to.
Preferably with a bow and arrow. Second, when they're talking about grounding, it's like go walk in salt water on the beach, in the sand and the salt water, or go walk around outside in the mountains.
You don't think they mean the grass?
I don't think they mean the College Station grass that I've got Aggieland green fertilizing, that my dog's pooping in.
Oh, that's the best.
And that, I don't think that's what they mean.
Mash it through your toes.
That's not grounding. There's nothing making you healthier.
Also, Billy.
And by the way, nothing's going to make you, you're not healthy by go walking your backyard grass for 5 minutes in College Station, Texas.
I would go.
Does nothing for you.
You should get sunlight within 15 minutes of waking up.
I've
okay.
heard that.
Yeah. It'll help jumpstart your day. You should also delay your cell phone activity for another hour to an hour and a half.
That I believe in.
And also, I don't do this, delay your caffeine for 90 minutes to restart your circadian rhythm. Let's go. Now everybody's better.
I've heard that too, and I don't believe in it.
Dr. Mike probably said it. Dr. Mark Hyman. I'm the functional medicine doctor here on the show.
Okay.
We wasted the entire
functional NFL, and again, for the complainers out there, because there are
we'll
a couple.
Go long.
Talk football and talk about the draft. Here it comes, and we'll go on, and let's go.
We'll have a deep discussion about it. Also, for those, I keep getting messages about this. Hey, you guys tease this other segment you're doing.
Yeah.
Where is it? You've got to be a premium subscriber. You got to go to TexAgs.com. You can listen live, and then we'll post it afterwards. There you go.
It almost seems as if I've done this intentionally to get people that listen to the radio show to subscribe. I haven't. Should have been doing this all along.
Well, since we wasted that and it's already time to hit a break, why don't we start the NFL talk in the next segment?
I got a lot to say about this NFL.
That's why I want to start in the next segment.
Both last night and what's upcoming.
All right. Rollo Insurance. When insurance matters most, who are you going to call? You better call Rollo Insurance. Decisions shouldn't be made in 15 minutes. They're built on educating you on exactly what you're shopping for, doing the shopping for you so that you can make sure that you find the right insurance situation for you. They have expertise in everything from home and auto to business and specialty coverage. Their independent agents provide options tailored to your specific needs, and they take time to explain those policies to you. This educational approach empowers you to make informed decisions. They are the very best at what they do. And I ask you why, Rollo Insurance? Well, the answer is call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That's 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. That's rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. Final segment of the program, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. As a reminder, we will continue on TexAgs.com. Go be a premium subscriber. Keep listening to Louis, but make sure you check in with us as well.
So let me tell you, do you have bruises on your wrists?
Probably. Yeah. Right there. And yeah, there's a little bit right there. Yeah. That didn't sound right when you say it like that.
I had a joke.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't.
Somebody from like ESPN. I'm not even going to say it. It's in the news these days, but I know it's from your grappling with
men.
The Men of Brian.
Yeah. Just in case I'm ever in a scenario
and someone
with that Aggie Facts guy, if we ever actually get that fight off the ground.
grabs your wrist.
He's very long. I'm going to have to be able to use leverage. And yeah.
Okay. All right. I had just a little note on Ryan Prager that just kind of popped in my head because we're talking about. I said when he pitched against Florida, and then Zane came in with 2 corrections. One he was right on, one he was wrong on. He tried to correct me twice, and he was right on the first one, and then he had to take it one step too far where he was wrong. But what he was right about is Prager pitched Kentucky, and he had a no-hitter going into the 7th inning in Omaha. Should have never forgot about that. But the reason I forgot is at the time I was going to the George Strait concert. Prager was pitching game 1. And I was like, man, we talked before he left. I was like, I'm just so pissed. I'm excited about the concert, but I'm going to miss you pitching. And he was like, it's all right. He goes, you'll see me. When are you getting there? I go, I'm getting there for game 2. So I'll be there from then till we're done. He's like, well, I'll pitch again. He's like, promise, trust me, I'll pitch. You'll get to see me. Like, he was that confident in himself, in that team. That's why you want that guy Friday nights. And we are talking about the guy that took a no-hitter into the 7th inning of in Omaha. Now, again, if you want to tell me he's lost a little velo, and if that's factual, that's factual. And there is some reason why he's not been as effective. But mentally, he's that guy.
He's still that guy.
And so tonight, that's who I want trotting out there, and let's see how it goes.
Yep.
I think he's mentally the guy you want going out there to try to set a tone for a series.
We have 3 minutes and 40 seconds left. Do you want to start NFL talk or finish with baseball? Start that on the other side.
I guess we talk Shamar right now. Shamar Stewart, first round draft pick since 2022. You hope it goes better for Shamar than it has for Kenyon so far with the Texans. But Cincinnati Bengals, second time they've taken an Aggie in recent history, Cedric Ogbuehi, which now you're going back like 10 years. But the Bengals take him at 17. And I think that's a good spot. I know the Niners were very serious about him. The Cowboys were very serious about him. The Falcons and Saints were all very serious about him. The Patriots at number 4 were talking to him a lot per Shamar. When I talked to him a week ago at the spring game, he said, man, Patriots talking to him all the time. So I think the reason those teams passed, they went with more on-tape proven guys.
Yep.
Shamar's upside, talked to a guy that works for an NFL team last night and said his upside's higher than any of those guys. Any of the ends and rushers that went before him. His upside's through the roof. He hasn't finished sacks and gotten to the quarterback. That's well documented. 1.5 sack, 1.5 sack, 1.5 sack. 4.5 for his career. People are wondering why. People are also getting confused with something. He is not just a testing warrior. If you watch tape of him, Shamar had a really good season. He was very effective against the run. He started, I think, every game, played hurt, played with a stinger most of the year, at least since Arkansas, and I think even the game before that. So September on, he was battling a pretty significant injury and played really well. Like, this dude had good football in the SEC on tape over the course of 3 years. He just didn't finish a lot of sacks, and I do think it's fair to question, like, as a natural pass rusher, what's there? And the NFL's going to figure that out, and the Bengals are going to figure that out. And they seem to think, hey, with all these physical tools, there's something there. But is he not bendy enough around the edge and getting that kind of where you hit that low lean like a Von Miller and Myles Garrett were able to do, and that's what separates from the elite? Was it technique? Did they think he wasn't coached up? Was it scheme? We don't know what these NFL teams are. They're all trying to figure that out, because by all the metrics, he's a stone cold killer, and he was really good on the field. And that's what fans of other schools, that one particular that want to chime in, even a lot of Aggies, they want to. It's almost like they felt the need not to question. I think it's fair to question, but to bash. It's like, no, dude, this guy was good in the SEC and had some really good games against NFL offensive linemen. And I think the biggest thing for Shamar is I think you could put together a highlight montage of Shamar Stewart almost getting to the quarterback and not quite finishing. And that's on him, but there's been some real misfortune too and bad luck where he's fallen off QB. I would say go watch him versus LSU and Jaden Daniels. I think if that's any other quarterback, he has 3 sacks in that game. So we'll come back and talk a little more about it.
Overtime next.